Welcome to the evolution of esports, where you don't just play the game, you code it. The CodeCombat AI League is the first of its kind. Part AI battle simulator, part game engine for learning real Python and JavaScript. Refine and perfect your code in your quest to become a CodeCombat AI League champion. Competitive coding has never been so epic. Join now.
Hello to all fans of the CodeCombat AI League powered by HyperX. We have just finished an awesome 5th season with Desert Duel and Sandstorm Blitz, our first ever sports-themed arenas. This season once again coincides with our annual CodeQuest tournament for players in China and the surrounding region. Our team is excited to break down all the action from some of the best matches, and we will of course reveal our winners and the great prizes they will receive. We have with us today Nick, CodeCombat CEO, Valentin, the architect behind each league arena, and Charlotte, who leads curriculum development at CodeCombat. Angelica will also tell us all about the great prizes from HyperX. We have a special message regarding CodeQuest from Bill, who leads CodeCombat China, and of course we'll be hearing firsthand from some of the winners themselves. This season featured 2 basketball-themed arenas with a twist. Merging elements of sport and battle, players went head-to-head in an all-out basket brawl. Nick, what'd you think of this season?
Oh man, Brian, it was great. This huge competition. We had over 30,000 players on the regular arena, Desert Duel, and almost 4,000 made it to the championship arena, Sandstorm Blitz. So super excited to break that down. We had a ton of really intricate code written. Some of the strategies that I previewed just completely blew my mind. And we had not just the global championship this time, but also that CodeQuest overlap, which Bill's about to tell us about. We see a lot of those Asia players really putting their all into it. So Bill, what do we got for CodeQuest?
Hi, CodeQuest global players. Nice to see you again. My name is Bill Wang, or you just call me Wang 老师 in Chinese. I'm based in Beijing, China, and manage CodeCombat Asia operations with my team here. First of all, I want to thank and congratulate everyone who joined and completed CodeQuest tournament this year. You are fantastic. This year, we've done some strategic initiatives to make CodeCombat local tournaments even more competitive. Our China tournament, called AI Youth, or AI 世青赛 in Chinese, attracted 40,658 students to play and compete this year. 400 players were selected to join the global final. Our long-term strategic training center partner, 斯坦星球, and prestige school partner Future Academy of Science and Technology had great performance. Together, they sent over 100 strong performers to join CodeQuest Global Final this year. CodeCombat was endorsed by Chinese Ministry of Education as one of whitelisted official tournament in China for the first time ever. More than 10,000 players joined the tournament called Youth Silicon Valley, or 少年硅谷 in Chinese, organized by China Next Generation Education Foundation.
未来有我，未来有我，未来有我，公益场所，未来有我。
ICE tournament was expanded to Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan this year, and more than 3,000 players joined the tournament. We really appreciate the great host of our best Capricorn educational team. You are really amazing. We also welcome our new strategic partner, Galaxy Education and IEB in Vietnam, and welcome our Vietnamese players to join CodeQuest Global Final for the first time. Last but not least, I want to say again, thank you, and thank you again. I can't wait to see Asia players' performance in coming announcement. Best luck!
Thanks, Bill, for sharing your experience with CodeQuest. Now, before we go into the breakdown, let's walk through how Desert Duel actually worked. In Desert Duel, like Brian mentioned, you are a coach managing a magical and powerful basketball team. The first team to score 50 points, or the team with the most points after 2 minutes, wins the game. Now, for your team, you can summon different players that have different strengths and weaknesses. For example, a big player has a lot of health, but is slower and has a short range. On the other hand, a driver has low health, but moves a lot faster and has a longer range. Players are summoned on one of 3 lanes like the one you see here in the playback. Lane 0 is the middle lane, which is shorter. Lane 1 is at the top, and Lane 2 is at the bottom. So there's strategies around where to place your team members. Now, this is where it gets interesting. You can use different plays that affect the entire basketball court. There's Quicksand, where you defeat all the players in a lane, including your own, so watch out for that. Or Press, which slows down the opponent's players in a lane. You can also give a quick boost to some players, such as Goliath, where you increase the health, or Hot, when you increase a player's speed and range. You can even use Switch, which swaps players on lanes 1 and 2. Now, all of these plays have cooldowns, so it's all about timing when correctly using it during the game. So Nick, what was one of the top matches like in Desert Duel?
Yeah, so we're actually looking at the top 2 players on that practice arena right now. So we have UFO 18127 in red and versus Miracle Knight over here in blue. It's a high scoring game. Everybody's using all the abilities. Actually, UFO 18127 only needed to write 134 lines of code in Python here to achieve this strategy. Sometimes it's not always about adding more and more and more code. Sometimes it's just about that kind of basketball insights, right? Miracle Knight really going all out, all 893 lines of Python here. We see lots of code in here to figure out when to use the special abilities, if we need to do an emergency quicksand, and just lots of stats and math to figure out when we're going to get to the basket before the enemy. So the kinds of things we intuitively do while playing basketball in code form, and it's a close one here. Looks like blue is taking it. We have 15-9 as the final score. So congrats to Miracle Knight. Let's take a look at those regular season practice leaderboards here. So Miracle Knight here, 760 wins and only 5 losses. That's a 99.4% win rate, taking it for HyperX on the practice arena as the warm-up. UFO 127 in second place, just a super close one, and Yosaf Limkani in third here, coming out of 7th grade. So congrats to our practice arena champions. Now for the prizes, we're going to cut over to Sandstorm Blitz, which is the 1-month high skill, harder version of the arena. What changed in this arena, Valentin, as we take a look at this 0 to 11 championship match here?
Thanks. So as you can see, Sandstorm Arena Blitz, it's bigger version of the Desert Duel. So there are more space, more time to react, counteract, and use abilities. You can even have 2 Goliaths or 2 hot players because it takes long time to get from one side to another. More space to use the switch ability and swap your players and back your friends, like in the same lane. And the main point is this glowing orbs on the field. You can see them like blue or green. They are some useful items which you would like to collect, and they give you different bonuses like heal your players or reduce cooldown of different abilities. The only point to collect them, you need to use Sandstorm. I mean, real Sandstorm, you can see this like tornado things, so like which you can launch. You can control them. You need to use some vector algebra from your school and using vectors to calculate their path. But there is a small point which I didn't mention. It's not just collecting items. We also damage your players, enemy players, every players. So we can be used like a something useful and at the same time as a dangerous weapon if you can direct them correctly. So it adds a lot of variability on the arena and make it much harder to calculate, and you need to think about a lot of action and your opponent.
Yeah, so as we take a look at this match here, I'm just pause it for a sec to take a look at the code. These are the top 2 players. We've got Guantinja in blue and then we've got Aaron Chiang in red. And it's just a big difference in how the code is organized, right? So Aaron Chiang, we've got data tables, we've got comments. Of course, this player's coming in code quest, so they're playing in Chinese. And we've got kind of sub-helper methods just to figure out, okay, well, how fast is the enemy unit? How much health is it gonna have? Where's the first one in the lane? Trying to figure out, okay, are they gonna get there first? Are we gonna get there first? Are we gonna win a kind of bumping battle as we have a bigger player? When are we going to use quicksand? You can see the code is super organized, especially if you can read Chinese. You can figure out exactly what this is going to be even without reading the code. And, great variable names. I really love all of this style. We've got about 300 lines of code. We're using sandstorms. We're using all the abilities here. And so contrasting that to Guantingjia in blue, and the code is shorter here. We're less than 200 lines. We've got some serious kind of like mathy variable name style. We've got acronyms. I don't know what XHCS stands for. We do have that vector math that Valentin was talking about for the figuring out where to launch the sandstorms, but kind of a little bit of hard-coded stuff too. So we're not doing the full trigonomic approach. And just like really, really dense code. Variable names are kind of short like in math. And of course, this player's, I think, also coming in from China. So these acronyms are standing for the Chinese abbreviations. It sort of makes sense. But we're not actually needing to do any advanced code here. So if you look, we're not really looping over arrays. This is all just nested if else. So even if you're saying this 0 to 11 bracket and you haven't gotten super far, you can still play and compete in these AI League matches. If you're just working on your strategy, testing, iterating your code. So Valentin, Charlotte, what did you guys notice when you're taking a look at this match as it comes almost to a close? It's still 0 to 3, so it could be anyone's game at this point.
Like you said, I think I agree. I love the more organized code. That's just a preference of mine. But also, I feel like Yung Chang is using a little bit more sophisticated strategy. Valentin, what do you think?
Yes, but we can be sure about like sophisticated strategy because it's in the code. But blue side team, the code maybe looks simple, but inside it's a lot of complexity, because those numbers, I think it's not just like random numbers. Like it's sometimes exactly precise small numbers. Like, and
we've got
have no idea how many iterations.
A 3-point shot at the very end.
Oh,
it looks like Guantingjia has taken it over Aaron Chiang. That is fantastic. Let's go see if we can find that last point that was scored just here to take it from the tie. So here is where the basket's going in right there. So we'll trace this player. It looks like we used the hot ability to speed it way up, and the slow ability. Oh, and he makes it in just before the big gets to them, and it's gonna be.
So it's literally milliseconds.
Yeah, you take that last second buzzer shot right there to take the win. So congrats again to Guantingjia on that match. However, when you do the scoring for this, it's not just about winning the match against the other player, it's about how many matches you win. So let's take a look at the leaderboard and see if they're able to clinch it. So here's the leaderboard for the 0 to 11 age bracket, and it looks like actually Aaron Chiang was able to take the top spot because he had only 8 losses, 99% win rate amongst all global finalists. That is amazing. Guantingjia with 13 losses. Congrats on the number 2 place, and then also Joseph Hong Ethan, number 3. Just fantastic work. We can see a huge performance from the Code Quest players here, pretty much sweeping the top of the 0 to 11 age bracket leaderboards from those Asia countries. So congrats again to those. Let's take a look now, going on to the 11 to 14 age bracket. So I'm pulling up a match here between 2 of the top players. Let's take a look. So immediately I can see that our Red Dragon 9, it's a very familiar face on the leaderboard from past tournaments, managed to do this with only 57 lines of code. And the most complicated thing I see in here is this spawn list array. Everything else here is kind of our if, else, while true stuff, the exact stuff we teach you to do in the first couple dozen levels of CodeCombat. So if you want to go all out and use a lot more complicated code, you can. you can use these kind of sub-functions, while, if, else, like we also have from Revolutionary Penguin here in red. And sometimes that's all you need. So let's take a look. It's 3-3 so far. Valentine, what are you seeing on this match compared to what we saw on that 0-11 championship match?
Well, first I think it's interesting how Red Dragon is using really aggressive strategy in the beginning. So like in the beginning of the match you can see how we're using like on the top big player, we're using like gather up, hot, boost, everything. So we immediately push all abilities on one unit to trying to get hit point. Well, not successful.
Yeah, that
and
Sandstorm
then
came in and was
increase the
countered.
pressure.
Yeah, so like
Yes, exactly. So,
if you put all your eggs in one
it
basket,
could
they're gonna
work.
smash that basket.
yeah, it could work if like your opponent doesn't counterattack. So like, or it maybe could work in Desert Duel because like less time to react, and if you apply boost and hot at the same time, your opponent just doesn't have time to react and use it. But here,
Right, I think it's still a big gamble though, right?
You need to
Because
think.
like if you just put all of your plays on that one character and he gets knocked down, then you have that cooldown.
I think we do see a lot of
Yes, but you
defensive
possibly-
plays, right? So the better the players get, the less points tend to be scored. And so, you know, as long as you can defend, maybe it's worth throwing all those eggs and trying to make a shot.
Yeah, but in some moment of time we can see as Red Dragon put a lot of eggs on the lane, top lane. So yeah,
many.
Yeah, here you can see like there is like most of
Four-
the units
4
on the
to
top
9
lane.
here.
Yes, exactly. Right. Okay. Yeah, and lane 0 almost empty, only big guys here. So just like trying to protect. That's all.
Yeah, and that makes it really easy to use
And
those
a lot of
quicksands. So every time that Revolutionary Penguin's got it ready, he can just knock out all the top units. Every time Red Dragon's ready, he can knock out the middle units. And nobody's doing too much with the bottom lane here.
Because I suppose we're trying to win the top lane, and one of the important feature of like both arenas, like you can't just like call, for example, only one type of units all time. So there is one tricky point. You can have only 3 units of the same time. So if you can't just like on some point call big units to protect it, if all your big units already on the play. So sometimes you want to get them in the play, sometimes you would like to call them.
So I think we see.
Yeah. And Charger.
Yeah,
just
I
like
think we
that
saw a standoff here. So we ended up going 3-3, and so each player was able to score 1 3-point shot. And then at the end here, I don't see another basket in. So I think we hit that tiebreaker condition. Valentine, how does it work if it ends in a tie?
As for tie breaking, we're using a lot of parameters trying to figure out like which player is better. So it's about collecting items, summoning units, abilities. We're just like trying to put everything, and there's like I can't exactly even repeat this whole mathematics.
Not really flipping a
which is
coin,
behind
but
it.
more
So-
like audience favorite. Who really went for it? Well, in this match, it looks like that
Yes,
was
exactly.
Red
Who is more
Dragon,
active?
paradoxically in blue. So let's take a look and see if that was enough to clinch it on this 11 to 14 age bracket. Here we see, yep, just barely edging ahead of Revolutionary Penguin. 40 losses, 95% win rate. Congrats to Red Dragon 9 in the 11 to 14 age bracket from Clan Python Domination over Revolutionary Penguin from Defenders of the Thunderbirds. And in third place, Jenny Wu, 417. Fantastic battling on there. Like to see the Code Quest player represented also in this age bracket too. We've got a lot of global players on the leaderboard. Of course, all these full leaderboards are available on codecombat.com/league. So go check it out.
I would like to highlight the point. It's not just Revolutionary Penguin, it's Revolutionary Penguin from Defenders of the
I
Thunderbirds.
have to say, can we give bonus points for
cool.
names? I mean, that just takes the cake right there.
It turns out that's the only tiebreaker that Valentine coded up. Just to,
Yeah, can we show that up? That'd be great.
you just would make
We
a
act-
chinchilla theme.
We actually
I
do
also-
have a video from Red Dragon 9 if we want to.
That's fantastic. Let's cut to that and see what our 11 to 14 champion has to say about his strategy.
Hello, my name is Kesar. I participated in CodeCombat because I find it fun to create strategies and see how others react to my strategies. I also enjoy looking at other strategies and analyzing them to see what they implemented. My strategy was to locate empty lanes and summon drivers to dash the enemy. I also summoned bigs in all the lanes to block off the enemy from attacking.
Wow, fantastic. Congrats again, Red Dragon 9, on taking that top spot. All right, let's take a look then at the winners of the open bracket. In this matchup, we've got Miracle Knight, who did take the top spot on that regular practice arena desert duel in red versus Hubowen in blue. Let's play the match, and let's take a look at the code. So, I don't know, this is kind of that adult bracket. We've got some professional software engineers in there. Let's take a look at the code as this starts to play. I'm seeing a lot. I'm seeing over 1,000 lines of Python. And so, yeah, we've got our kind of is emergency function, which is all determining if we're going to use quicksand, are we going to use breath, we're going to use Goliath. We've got some code here for figuring out if we're going to get there first, if they're going to get there first, are we going to boost, are we going to press. A lot of this is just those situational awareness of where your player is, where their players are, who's going to score, and when we should use those abilities or summon backup units. And we can see it's a high scoring game already, 6-3 in Miracle Knight's favor. Oh, it's tied up, 6-6. Charlotte, what are you seeing on the board here?
Right, I just, like you said, situational awareness. Like, feel like the past duels, you almost feel like they were shooting in the dark, right? They're just like throwing things out there, hoping it'll land. But this code is so much more sophisticated because they're calculating where the enemies are, what's the best timing for those plays. And you see, because of that, there's more powerful scores and more powerful plays. Valentine, what do you think?
I'm mostly watching for these sandstorms and looking the pass, and I see players prefer to use aggressive tactic and hunting for blue spheres, which give cooldown reducing, so it allows you using abilities more often. Like, so they don't care about having their players. No, just for abilities, like more abilities, more different tricks to use, like, and more units on the game field. Like, that's the most interesting thing
so we're
for
seeing
me.
those blue ones get picked
And
up.
yes, lane 0.
The 15-14. Now, we've been seeing a lot of 3-point shots. We also have some 2-point shots here. Valentine, how do you think about kind of those sniper units that come in and sink a 3-pointer versus the ones that have to get close to the basket?
We're not so popular as I hoped, so you rarely can see them on the game field. We're really weak, and especially in Sandstorm Blitz, as when you can have a lot of reducing cooldowns, players mostly prefer to use hot ability, which gives kind of like sniper skills to everyone, instead using just real snipers. Snipers could be useful maybe if we get more lanes. Who knows, like in future maybe we give such really complicated
look at
arena.
this was a super close match too, up until the very end, 15-14, and then we have another final last second 3-point shot coming in to score that additional goal. And let's see if we can pinpoint where that happened. Yeah, it was right in that middle lane. So that wasn't, like you were saying, this big. Normally I has to get close to the basket, but when he's hot, he can shoot a 3-pointer, and he just managed to do that, and that was the difference. Now, looking at the code here from Hubo1, congrats again on taking that open bracket. I mean, we don't see a lot. We see that kind of human machine learning kind of style a little bit with finding the right parameters here and naming them like a mathematician a little bit. We're just figuring out where to use quicksand, when we're going to use our abilities, and apparently that's all it took here. Miracle Knight kind of putting a lot more into it, and I guess we'll see who took the actual top spot here. But lots and lots of different ways to express yourself with code in this one. Why don't we take a look then at the open bracket leaderboards? And it looks like, again, it's an upset. So Miracle Knight and Hubo1 very close. Hubo1 managed to beat Miracle Knight, but Miracle Knight's win ratio just a little bit better. For Clan, Team HyperX, amazing performance here, 96% win rate. And congrats to Ethan Chun, too, familiar face in slot number 3, and all of our CodeQuest players coming in on the top 10. We have Ethan Chen, of course, playing for Team Ned, way to represent Ned Fulmer, try guy and YouTuber. You'll get that exclusive Ned Fulmer in the game if you join Team Ned. And Team HyperX is, of course, giving you those exclusive HyperX prize chances and discounts.
I compete in the CodeCombat AI League for fun. It also gives me the opportunity to share my coding knowledge with my children. The CodeCombat AI League is better than other esports because it trains you to be analytical and persistent. Not to mention that people end up with a very useful skill set in coding and problem solving. My winning strategy is always look at the big picture and understand the patterns. Try to solve the general problem and keep your code neat.
So, the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's take a look at the oft-contested, high-pressure 14 to 18-year-old age bracket. And we're gonna have a little bit of a different match this time because in top 2, we have one familiar face and one newcomer from CodeQuest. So it is Zenith versus Lee Chung. So we're gonna see, let's play this match and see. Zenith was the champion last time, who had upset over Shining Light's 3-time champion. And now we have a newcomer, Lee Chung, coming in from CodeQuest. Let's take a look at this match. First, let's see, is there anything that pops off right on this opening strategy? What do we do differently here than we do in some of those other matches?
Venus is trying to use Charger with Hot. So like Charger is already fast unit, and with Hot ability it's just like a rocket. So Venus is trying to get free shot on the first moment of the time. Like, why not? Because like if the player is trying to use big player, it's not enough speed. But Quicksand decided everything.
Well, it looks like they had to use the Quicksand to stop the shot, even though we had this Goliath supercharged up MVP big on it. So just wasn't going to block it in time, had to use the Quicksand. And that's on a 15-20 second cooldown, so that's not cheap.
Yeah, I remember you talked about this, Valentine, where it's really interesting where Zenith is now almost anticipating what the enemy's going to do. Not just checking about what the enemy's doing now, but almost predicting what they might do in the future, right?
And let's look at the code that does this. So, over 2,000 lines. Bennett, you've really outdone yourself on this one. This is a lot. And these are dense lines too. Like, you know when it goes off the end of the line, like you're doing the vector math. I mean, some of these method names here, well organized, we can see that we're not just seeing what we can do now and what the enemy can do now, but we're timing what the enemy can do later to see if what we can do later is going to happen before what they can do later. So, and we don't give them those APIs, right? What he's doing is calculating based on, okay, if a unit was this speed this frame and then is faster next frame, they must have just gotten hot. So the hot cooldown is then not going to refresh for another 10 seconds. And so if we do something at 9 seconds, then will they be able to count? Like, we got some serious zillion dimensional chess here in this code. I can't imagine how long it must have taken to get all these strategies right. But so far it seems to be working pretty well. Zenith 9-0. Lee Chung is not able to score any points. Let's pause it here and take a look at what Lee Chung's code is looking like. We're not using a bunch of advanced coding concepts here either. This is a lot of if, else, for chains. I mean, clearly Lee Chung knows what he's doing, and clearly is talented at math, and I suppose basketball strategy, but we didn't have to pull out the big guns and do a bunch of actual like advanced high-end coding for this. Although, keeping this problem in your head, like, I would say that's a little bit harder. Honestly. So the points, let's see if we can see how Zenith is scoring these points here. So here we have coming up, we're going to get a basket coming in on the, which lane is he going to do it in? It's that bottom lane. Yep, so he was able to bounce it and then push it back. So let's take a look at this guy. So this might be illustrative of, so we got a hot, a speed boost, we kind of counter with the press, and he bumps it in from the 3-point shot. And I think it was just too fast for Lee Chung to react. Then it timed it at a point where Lee Chung was doing something else, didn't have his cooldowns ready. And not like he was able to defend it here, but it wasn't enough defense. So it's all this calculation that Zenith is doing to see exactly 0.516337 bump distance times based on the size of the enemy and what power-ups it will have. And I mean, just masterful coding for Venet. I don't see how anyone would be able to stop this kind of strategy.
I would like to highlight it was not just like some unit, it was like threat unit, which kind of like average in everything. So people usually using it just like to defense, but not expect too much for some unit. Like, but in the right moment, right lane, right abilities,
and of course you recognize the
3
threat
points.
as the
That's
humble
really
munchkin from the intro first levels of CodeCombat. But sometimes the little guy scores. It's like a Muggsy Bows up in here. All right, well, let's then take a look at that leaderboard and see who was able to take the top spot overall for the 14 to 18-year-old age bracket. And it looks like Venet has it undefeated as per last time. Li Chung also at 2 losses, 99.8% win rate. Amazing. Congrats to Venet from Team HyperX for taking that top spot, and Li Chung from CodeQuest on number 2. Shining Lice, our 3-time champion from seasons 1, 2, and 3, coming back and hitting number 3 this time. You want to see kind of what Shining Lice was up to on this one?
Let's do it. I mean, this has been an epic showdown.
Let's take a look at this match. So here I flipped the sides. Venet is in red, and you know we have his code as normal. Now this match doesn't start out the same at all as the other match. So I mean they're clearly reacting to what they're doing. And Shining Lice here. Let's see what he's got going on. So if I'm looking at this, the code is so neat. I love it. So we got a lot of calculation here. We've got a lot of vectors. We're making those data structures and maps to really know everything that's going on about that. But here's where we see this kind of score-based approach that Venet has got going on. So basically every possible, or that the Shining Lights has, every possible strategy, every possible play, you're just kind of adding or subtracting or multiplying, dividing by kind of various factors to come up with an overall score of everything you could possibly do. And at any given moment, the move with the highest possible score, that's what we're going to do. So it's kind of all these sub-functions. And it kind of reminds me how the brain calculates things. You have these various action potentials that say, all right, well, if we're going to fire hard enough, that's what we're going to do next. Or that's where our attention is going to go. And all these different sub-areas of the brain are operating, calculating, and when they spike, that's where your attention goes. And that's kind of like what this code is doing. Just everything reduced to numerical score. Highest score is what we do next. And so it's kind of this greedy coding strategy. Shining Lice coming in with 1,126 lines of code. And I saw something interesting there. He actually only goes for one type of orb. Valentine, why do you think that is?
Let me guess. I think it's blue ox, so only reducing cooldown, or I'm pretty sure it's so. Because again, aggressive tactic, like, so using more abilities can be cut. You have to use complex strategies for that, but if you can use it, like, it gives you advantage.
Well, actually, look at this. He's only getting the green orbs on this one. And so...
Oh, so, like, my suggestion is wrong. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and I saw some code in here on Venice. Now, this part blew my mind. So he's, and I don't know if I can find this again, but the Sandstorms that you launched, and added new for the tournament one, there is some code in here, hundreds of lines, which calculate where the bounces are going to be and which things are in the same line. So if there's an opportunity to pick up multiple orbs with one shot through bank shots, that's what Venet is calculating, and he's keeping track whether the other player will be able to get to those orbs first and how long they're going to live. And if there are any units in the way that he can hit at the same time, and whose team they're going to be on, and when they're going to be there. So I think Shining Lice has this brilliant greedy strategy, but I don't think it can quite handle the edge that you get from looking ahead so much like Venet has been doing. And I think that's why Shining Lice was able to pick up, had to pick up a couple losses here, and Venet was able to go completely undefeated. And so
I still like Shining Lice's code, because like I am a huge fan of like, and the paradigm about Pep 8, about clean code, readable code, and Shining Lice code is just like ideal code for, like, I think Guido Van Rossum would be just happy to see such code.
Except for the
so
four
readable.
space tabs.
So accurate.
Yeah, I just want to eat this for dessert. Actually, I don't eat dessert, but if I did, this is what I would eat. Well, congrats again for a high place finish to Shining Lice and a well fought championship. Let's take a look at the overall arenas leaderboard, all age brackets. We see the top 3 from that 14 to 18. So overall, top 1 Veneth, HyperX, Lichon, CodeQuest, and Shining Lice for his own another team, and just fantastic, strong performance. It's heating up every time. Can't wait to see what's going to happen in the next season.
Hello, I'm Li Chen. I'm a grade 8 student from Xiangcheng High School of Suzhou High School of Jiangsu Province, Xiangcheng Experimental Program. In the competition, I decided what I should do according to the actual conditions. I'm happy to get this award. I'll try my best to be better.
Hello, I'm Valid, also known as Bennett, and this is my video for CodeCombat AI League Season 5, Sandstorm Blitz. I compete in CodeCombat AI League to further improve and apply my ability in programming and logical thinking. CodeCombat AI League acts like some sort of motivation for me to learn further into the world of computer science. The CodeCombat AI League is different and unique compared to other esports and competition in that the CodeCombat system is really integrated into it. The leaderboard system and the code writing system that has been there since pretty much the start of CodeCombat, which is in 2013, is really fluent and really integrated into the whole system. There are also a wide range of popular programming languages such as Python, JavaScript, and C++, so pretty much anyone can participate, anyone of any age from anywhere. The barrier of entry is pretty low. My strategy for this season, Sandstorm Blitz. First off, for the units, I use the best units according to the current situation. Second, for the sandstorm itself, I calculated the bounce trajectory of the sandstorm and I will choose the best ones according to the results of my calculation. Then for the place, I just play the place that is best on the current situation. For example, if there's an enemy that is close to my 3-point line, I will cast Quicksand on that lane. For example again, if there's one of my units that is close to the opponent's 3-point line, I cast Hot on that lane. I also occasionally cast Switch to open up opportunities for my units to get close to the opponent's 3-point line. And that's my video. Thank you.
Yeah, we have an absolute rivalry brewing here. Shining Lice with winning the first 3 seasons of the CodeCombat AI League. Veneth coming in winning the next 2. This sets up for an epic battle in Season 6. We want to thank all the winners, everybody that's participated, and we're going to throw it to Angelica now to talk through what they're going to receive as far as prizes from HyperX.
Hey, way to go everyone. Now let's get into the prizes. The overall winner of the CodeCombat AI League season finale will be receiving a $1,000 scholarship to help them pursue their coding education and support their path to a career in computer science. As for the top 3 players in each age division, they'll be receiving some awesome HyperX Pro gear. Let's dive into those. So first place in each age group will be receiving the Cloud Revolver 7.1 headset, Ally Origins keyboard, and the PulsePot Fire FPS Pro mouse.
lit, flashing like a spotlight, shining like a diamond, party all night. Tell me you love me, I wanna see the stars, eyes wide shut, then meet me at the bar. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You ain't ready, you ain't ready. I'm coming through the room, turn the bass out. Y'all been sleeping on me, better wake up. Put your fly gear on, do your makeup, drop it real low, and pick it back up. Excellent, bustin' with the best of them, simply impressive, no worrying or stressing out. I'm getting mine right now. Put your shades on and let me show you how.
As for second place, they'll be getting the Cloud 2 headset and the Cloud earbuds. And finally, for third place, they'll be receiving the Cloud Stinger Cord headset. If you didn't place, don't worry, HyperX has you covered. All AI League players get 20% off the HyperX.com store. Just use the code HXCodeCombat at checkout. Regional and product limitations may apply. Now let's take a look at Season 6. We'll be turning up the heat with our regular season arena, Magma Mountain, which will lead to a brand new finals arena in December.
All right, I gotta say, this might be one of my favorite seasons coming up because the gameplay is so unique and different. I mean, it's like Tron meets the Snake game, right? And Valentin, do you want to dive into how it works?
Yes, thank you. So we are going to implement our long-time dream about making some Snake game with Tron. We really love this movie. So it's PvP game like snakes. You're trying to collect items and overrun your opponent and use different abilities. Different items give you different bonuses. So there's a lot of things how you can implement your code and which strategy to use.
Looks absolutely awesome, guys. So excited to see how Season 6 comes together. And the rivalry continues going to Season 6 between Bennett, Shining Lice, and maybe some newcomers. Excited to see. I want a huge thank you to the entire CodeCombat community, all our players this season. Thank you to our experts who were with us today, kind of breaking everything down. Thank you to HyperX for the support. And check out the latest leaderboards. Start playing at codecombat.com/league. Hope to see you there.
Welcome to the evolution of esports, where you don't just play the game, you code it. The CodeCombat AI League is the first of its kind. Part AI battle simulator, part game engine for learning real Python and JavaScript. Refine and perfect your code in your quest to become a CodeCombat AI League champion. Competitive coding has never been so epic. Join now.